This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
This is unbelievable. So this is over in Montana. So we're in the US here. This guy's got 215 acres, right?
Okay.
Huge. Is that Yellowstone country?
That's Yellowstone National Park, mate. What's he running there? What sort of head's he running?
Sheep.
Sheep, righto.
Okay. So have you got any sheep noises in there, Jess? That's a screaming goat.
Easy got
That's it.
200 head of screaming goat.
The thing is, though, he's not... He doesn't have sheep on his farm for food. What he's doing... He's 80... First of all, this guy is 80 years of age, right? So he's a grandfather, Kate.
Yep.
He's been arrested and he's in jail at the moment for felony wildlife charges. Now, what he's doing is that he is cloning his own style, these enormous hybrid species of sheep.
Yeah.
So then people come onto his farm and they hunt them down.
What?
So he's charging people to come to his farm and you hunt down this enormous hybrid species of sheep. Now, I'm going, how is he doing that?
Yeah.
He's illegally importing animal parts from Central Asia, which he then uses to clone these giant hybrid species of sheep that roam around his farm, and then you get to come along, you go out there and you go hunting with him and you get to shoot them down.
Oh, so it's that kind of hunting. I thought you mean if there's some kind of hybrid, it's just you and you're wrestling.
lasso.
Yeah.
So they went into this huge farmhouse that he has. There was an unidentified lab in there with 165 embryos that were clones that were implanted from different like these animal parts that he gets imported from Central Asia, and he's making his own giant sheep.
I quite like what's going on.
I don't like it at all.
I mean,
There's everything about this is so wrong.
I think the first cloned animal was Dolly the sheep. So he's obviously gone, all right, and they can do it with a sheep. So then he's gone, well, I'm a mad scientist as well, so why don't I get little bits and parts and pieces, and then if I weave that DNA in, I've got more meat and more wool in the one beast.
But it's not about that. He's not doing it for good.
Yes, he is.
He's doing it to kind of
he's making money.
Feed some hunting frenzy of mad people.
And this is when little 8-year-old Phoebe goes, Mum, why is Grandpa in jail?
Yeah.
Oh, because he's cloning his own huge species of sheep and everyone's shooting them down on Grandpa's farm.
Yeah, the problem was the sheep were eating the trees down to the stump. That's how big they were.
I do when grandparents, where they just go, you know what, I'm at the age now, I'm allowed to do whatever I want. Chloe's given us a call from Kirrawee. What did your grandparents do wrong, Chloe?
Well, he's not on creepy animal cloning level. Let me just clarify that.
Yeah, sure, Chloe.
Just letting you know, is this following up? No. He's not too bad. He's just a little bit of a speeder. Like, I feel like all grandparents, back in the day are kind of at that no seatbelt wearing stage
heavy
a little
foot.
bit. So,
Yep.
he's like, yeah, it's all right. So he's gotten a bit better now because we've had a stern talking to him. But my dad's actually he's a police officer, and every time my pop would get pulled over, he would just drop his name all the time because he's just stuck in that old way of sort of getting away with it. Like,
I like him, Chloe.
These days, and he's like, no, like my son, and everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
and like you're not sure how to act, and Dad's like, stop dropping my name.
Stop doing it.
This is the thing. And then he goes, and they still think they're living in an old country town where everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
You know Dave. That's my son,
He'll
Dave.
get me off. Tony and Narrabeen, welcome to the show. Tell us about your grandparents breaking the law.
Oh, hi, everyone. To give you some context, my grandfather passed away at 101. He's a World War II vet and sort of lived by himself and with my auntie in northern New South Wales. When he was in his 90s, a snake came into his prized bird aviary and obviously demised a few of the birds. So he took matters into his own hands, grabbed the snake, walked across the road, did kind of a whirly bird thing and kind of waved it over his head before he threw it down the hill. Obviously, the neighbours saw. So the neighbours dobbed him into the police. So the police come knocking on the door. And he said, we want to talk to you about this snake. He's like, what snake? He goes, well, you were busted. Someone saw you. He said, well, come and have a look. So they walked across the road, and the police were like, where's the snake? He said, well, down there. So if you want it, you've got to go and get it. And they're like looking at each other, and they're kind of like, well, you know, it's probably a native snake. You can't do this. We'll have to arrest you. And he looked at them and he said, I went to war. There's no way I'm going to jail over a snake.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the story.
So true.
I think he's in his...
A little bit of common sense there that kicked in. Tony, good story.
Amy in Wollongong, how did your nan get into trouble with the law, Amy?
So she actually got pulled over by the police for going too slow.
Was she on the freeway, Amy?
And she was on the freeway too.
Oh, bless Nan.
Doing 30 on the M5.
Is that a law for going too slow? Like, I know you stand out.
Yeah, it is.
You can't go because you become as much of a menace. It's still very dangerous either way.
What happened, Amy?
So I think that she was going far too slow, and she was on the expressway, and so I'm assuming they thought that she, you know, maybe something else was going on, but no, she was just a slow grandma on the road.
Oh, man.
She was going home for a gin and tonic.
I would have been right up her clacker just beeping my horn. Get off.
Come on, Nan.
Screaming at her.
So considerate of you.
She's making a doily behind the wheel at the same time.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.